interesting presentation by Mr. David Hudson, Vice President and General Manager, Asia Pacific, Honeywell Voice Solutions. So can we please have a huge round of applause for Sir, please? Very warm welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. In the time we have this afternoon, I want to spend a few minutes sharing with you our observations around the digital transformation in the fourth industrial revolution, really as it applies to the supply chains which many of you may be responsible for managing. During the time, I'd like to cover three key topics. Look at some of the current trends we're seeing in the market, the new technologies that are out there, and then last and by no means least, how to capitalize on some of those initiatives. So what is it that supply chain leaders really want today? They're under pressure to ship next day or within the next hour in some areas. There's continual pressure on them to reduce inventory to free up capital. Tremendous focus on accuracy. If you think about it, we live in a world today where we're almost got saturated suppliers. So if you make a mistake with the delivery, will you get the customer back? And solutions need to be flexible and responsive to customer needs. In the recent years, Honeywell undertook some pretty wide and exhaustive research, interviewing supply chain managers in the US and in Europe. And what we uncovered is that there is a significant amount of unproductive time which exists within our operations. A DC that employs at least 50 workers loses close to 3,000 hours of productivity in a year. The cost of mispicks is much higher when you factor in the cost of losing a potential customer. Clearly, eliminating physical paper trails in the workflow operation is key. Voice technology, for example, can save as much as $300,000 US in a small DC operation. It's also worth considering the top five external forces for change and how those have varied over the last 10 years. Today, supply chain professionals see that their business strategies are becoming more customer-orientated in order to meet downstream customer requirements. Government regulations remain number two, as can be seen. So let's now focus on some of the trends that we see in the marketplace. Firstly, obviously, shifting consumer demands. E-commerce is growing rapidly and exponentially. And if we look at it, e-commerce provides almost the endless aisle. Consumers, as we've heard throughout the day, are preferring multi-channel options, convenience to buy online and pick up at store, or buy online and return to the store. We have lots of companies changing the game. If we see promotions for free shipping, most consumers will take action to qualify for it. Online growth continues to outpace the web. In the US, online outpaces non-web 13% versus 3% over the last 5 years. But interestingly, only a fraction of total retail sales, less than 7%, actually goes through online. If we take a moment to look at India, according to Kantar IMRB in their recent market research into internet usage in India, they predict double-digit growth during 2019 to reach 627 million users in India by the end of the year. Of the total user base, 87% are defined as regular users, somebody accessing the internet at least once in a 30-day period, with over 60% of the regular users residing in urban areas. While internet usage grew in urban areas in India by 7% year on year, digital adoption is really being propelled by rural India, which is registering a growth of 35% in internet usage over the past year. Just think of the challenge that will pose for supply chains to service that increased growth. 97% of internet users use mobile phones as one of their devices to access the internet. Second trend to consider is changing demographics. The demographics are changing with where people live and how products are delivered. One of the largest demographic shifts is urbanization. For the first time in almost 100 years, the rate of urban population growth has outpaced suburban growth. By 2050, it's estimated that 70% of the world's population, that is about 6.3 billion people, will live in the world's major urban areas. And this trend is global, from Western nations to Asia. It's clearly more spending is required on logistics. We're seeing things such as high-speed rail and last-mile delivery options becoming leaner and more agile with the high volumes. Rapid urbanization is also affecting how consumers shop, what products they prefer, and how those goods are delivered. It's worth noting that home delivery experience is also very important. People are now requiring what we refer to as that white glove delivery service, where a package is delivered as if you had bought it from the shop. Connected devices and m-commerce are also becoming a trend. Some people may want it delivered to wherever they are, not just at home. The third trend is all around the employee. Employee needs are changing, and well-being is key to employee satisfaction and retention. Employees desire safety, inspiration, cultural diversity, and social justice in their workplace. This obviously varies by country and region. The key is it's important to not just think about supply chain health, but also employee health powering the supply chain. Last and by no means least is technology change. Technology is advancing quickly in many areas, and you absolutely see this in global supply chains. This is really becoming the value chain because suppliers and anyone involved with the customer experience are looking for ways to innovate and add value to the process and the customer. Data becomes increasingly important to provide competitive advantages. Now let's get back to the topic of hand and the fourth industrial revolution. Every revolution in our history brought with it incredible new advances, economically, socially, technology, and more. But each revolution also brought with it pain, particularly as the mix of skill required by the labour force shifted and people struggled to keep up. We are entering a time where cyber-physical systems like robots and sensors are increasingly more intelligent and connected, bringing more autonomy, efficiency, and usability. This revolution has potential to bring exponential progress. I would argue it could be broken up into many mini revolutions. As we enter the fourth revolution, the main principles are around interconnection of machines, devices, sensors, and people with each other, information transparency, vast amounts of data available, and digitization allowing for insights, technical assistance in a variety of forms, be it robotics, virtual or augmented reality, decentralized decisions where systems can make their own choices autonomously. There's also the concept of the digital twin, creating a virtual model of what you have in the physical world and then running models against the digital twin to see how it plays out in the real world. This includes physical objects, processes, people, places, and systems. So for a warehouse, for example, you can model changes to the layout and be sure you are making the right choices. One of the technologies to closely follow is 5G. Near real-time responsiveness and quality of service built in from the beginning. The potential of this technology in an industrial space is huge. We could have thinner clients and more processing on the back end, faster provisioning by not being reliant on traditional access points on site. 5G offers seamless transition from one on-premise network to cellular, which provides more flexibility to mobile workers. Robotics is growing throughout the supply chain. And robotics is an area that is definitely growing and will continue to grow in the years ahead, as we can see based on the various trends showed here on the slide. The other area to watch is this whole area around the cross-reality spectrum. Assisted reality, the concept of easily seeing information that otherwise would be on the screen or of a mobile device, so no interaction. Think of heads-up displays in a fighter cockpit, or windshields of a car on the way that dashboards are now being represented to you. Augmented reality. Think Pokemon Go, overlapping from information from what you see in the real world. Mixed reality, that's all about allowing interaction. So in that augmented reality area, someone actually pushing a chair. And then virtual reality, as you know, transports you to an entirely virtual environment. Based on our assessment, the first three groups could all be implemented on a phone, a tablet, or a variety of headsets, and they're fairly hardware agnostic. Assisted reality is furthest along and is pretty much ready to go today in a production environment. Virtual reality is almost there and is finding its niche. Augmented and mixed reality, there's still more work to be done, but we would expect to see advances with that later this year and next. So how will you manage all these changes in this revolution? How will you capitalize on it? You have all of these advances in technologies, which we talked about, but there is more. You have these macro drivers with some of the trends we've reviewed. Then you have market dynamics and customer requirements and shifts. Think about how you will bring all of these together and deliver on the supply chain, or what is really the value chain of goods, assets, and worker productivity. As part of Honeywell, we have access to technology early on. Here you can see an early 5G model 3 years ago, before miniaturization occurred. What is really cool about this POC that we ran is that we actually had to have the local wireless company, Verizon, turn off a cell phone tower and reposition for 5G so we could run the test. Honeywell is watching closely and performing POCs around augmented reality. An example here is with voice picking. Honeywell has lots of its own warehouses, and we've concluded that it isn't worth the tech to highlight a specific device in a slot, but could be simpler to split into another slot and use voice. Some of the other things that we need to consider around AR is the concerns around the eye dominance, eye strain, all needs to be looked at. Interestingly enough, a large global 3PL did some interesting work over the last year, spending time, money, and press around the positive benefits of AR within warehouse picking. They found that vision picking was better than alternatives. However, their conclusion was, once they factored in adoption and ruggedness, that voice was better overall, so have now decided to mandate the use of voice picking around their global DC operations. Another area where we are seeing significant value is Honeywell partnering with Fetch Robotics. This picture is of a live customer using voice with what we call cobots, people working together with robots, which is especially helpful when it comes to traveling to bring certain products or shelves to a selector. Robots is a leapfrog technology over existing automation technologies. On the subject of predictive analytics, we're increasingly adding sensors to our hardware, as well as the ability to collect data about operations in order to make better warehouse decisions. Here on the screen is a simple example of how, using a gyroscope, we can see how people move through the warehouse. Another interesting area to explore is leveraging on industrial voice assistants and natural language processing. It has great potential for stationary workflows, or for managers to request summaries of operations or give commands through the voice of a use assistant. It's worth noting that there are some challenges in this area, such as with data privacy. We also have many of the benefits of using voice already covered in our existing and upcoming solutions. As I wrap up, I would like to leave you with top 4 recommendations on how to capitalize on the supply chain disruption that we're seeing with the 4th industrial revolution. Firstly, automate, 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 wherever you can. If you can't, make sure you are thinking about it. When we talk about automation, this isn't just about conveyors or robots, but cobots, where humans and robots work together. That is, there are no longer or conversations, but rather and with conversations. Think about where it makes sense to automate, use robotics, and use human capital to interact with them to bring the most value from the solution. Secondly, get closer to your customers. This is obvious, and no one would disagree, but hardly anyone does it enough. Spend time, go on ride-alongs, learn by getting close to them or the people in the organization that are close to them. Understand what challenges they have and what brings them value and their customers value. Excuse me. Focus on your customer. You have to do so to make great decisions, but do it responsibly, follow all your local laws, and do it with the way that adds value to your business and your customers. Think about new technologies like digital twinning, AI, and decentralized autonomous decisions, and how this together can bring value to the supply chain or the value chain. This is a complex area, and your vendors will need to help you. Last and by no means least, strengthen your transparency and disclosure. Be transparent on your approach and how you handle data. It will make your customers closer and eliminate fear because they know that your goal is in the right place. Look at blockchain, for example. The reason why it can be so successful is that it is completely open and everyone has a copy, so you can't hide anything. So as we are thinking of how to capitalize on the value chain and what vendors to partner with, I would recommend that you choose one that covers solutions with a holistic view, end-to-end across the entire value chain, not just a specific area. Honeywell offers solutions in all of these areas and continues to invest in research and development, or partner with others, or acquire companies in order to gain a stronger position. Today, Honeywell has a strong position in the market, and there are powerful statistics backing it up. Consider how much our technology is already so embedded in the market. 500 million workers already use our solutions. Bottom line, you're here to consider options to invest and grow your business. It's your choice which vendors you choose and who you are comfortable partnering with. I wanted to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share these views with you this afternoon, and wish you all great success in your futures in this 4th industrial revolution. Thank you very much.